Again. Doug Kent strikes here in the 7th. And now we have this word from the PBA. In the 7th frame, trailing by 12.
And something distracted Gary. He says he moved right in the middle of his approach. One of our cameramen, and Gary, there's going to be a lot of things moving out there.
Well, Gary had everything going for him for quite a while.
Right, and he needs to put this out of his mind. He's smiling. He's going to be okay. But, you know, right now, Gary-Skidmore, and nothing against Mike Scroggins. Mike Scroggins is a very talented player. But Doug Kent is a level or two higher. He's at the upper echelon of players on our tour.
Didn't seem to bother him too much.
As he gives a little coming at you to the cameraman as if to say, that's all right. We'll take a look at this style we've become familiar with of Gary-Skidmore. Watch the 6-pin again. Bang, there goes the 10-pin. Up comes the arm.
So Gary-Skidmore now up in the 8th, looking for the double.
With a chance to cut it to 2 pins, and right now Doug Kent's been sitting on the bench for quite a while, so this could really put some heat on him. Oh, that ball, he got around that ball. He did not stay behind it. The ball twirled down the lane. That's why it didn't have the power to knock the 10-pin out. And take a look, watch it. You can see the release. The ball's spinning more than he wanted it. 6-pin stays in the channel, doesn't knock out the 10, and he knows that wasn't a good shot.
So now he gets the spare in the 8th frame.
Now we'll see how Doug Kent can react. As I said earlier, he hasn't bowled for a while. There's been a commercial. Gary-Skidmore was up throwing a couple of shots. It's probably been 3 or 4 minutes since Doug Kent has thrown a ball. We'll see how he handles it in what I consider to be the most important shot of the game for Doug Kent. He's taking a re-rack. He saw something down there, Mike, that he didn't like, decided maybe that one, generally it's the 1 and the 3-pin for the right-hander, might have been a little too tight together or a little bit too far apart, and that can affect your mindset in making the shot.
And as I understand it, each bowler can get 2 re-racks per game.
They get 2 re-racks a game as long as they do it in their first order of business. If they pick the ball up and then ask for a re-rack, the tournament director will not give it to him. That ball's got a hook. Oh, and he made a great shot, leaves the solid 10. But that ball was a little bit wide of his target. We'll take a look from head on. He actually got this ball a little right of where he wanted it. The ball kicked back into the pocket, but the entry angle was a little bit different, thereby affecting a solid 10.
And the 10-pin has been the enemy for both Gary-Skidmore and Doug Kent in this match.
Hang on. If anything has been a problem for Doug Kent in the past, he's gotten a little sloppy with his single-pin conversions. He hangs on and makes that one.
He's up by 11. This is a guy who tries not to get 2 up or 2 down during a match. He says he prefers the Mike Albee or Parker Bone approach to always stay on an even keel.
And it's been fairly successful doing that. You know, his bowling goals, he wants to be the PBA Player of the Year. Those are very, very lofty goals, but he's got the kind of physical game to do it. Hang on. Look at that ball hang in there. I thought that ball was going to be a little bit high. It held the pocket all the way down the lane, sets himself up in the 9th frame with a strike, and right now Gary-Skidmore cannot shut out Doug Kent. Gary-Skidmore can shoot 248. Doug Kent can have a possible 259, and there's a tie still very possible in this game.
Down by 11 pins. Gary-Skidmore in the 9th.
And all the good breaks Gary-Skidmore had kind of vanished right there in the 9th frame.
The 8th pin is still standing.
Solid 8. Really, the only true tap is we'll see the perfect pocket hit. The 5-pin is actually forced back and chopped straight off the 8-pin. And all he can say is, wow. Keep your composure. Make this spare, Gary. All right.
Sort of clipped it there.
Just barely. Right now, Gary-Skidmore, the best he can do, 237. As he said, he threw it good. You better believe he threw it good. With a 237, Doug Kent would have to fill 19 pins in the 10th frame. The match still has not been determined.
So Skidmore in the 10th frame. guy who finished extremely well, as I mentioned last night. And now he's going to try to finish strong here to put some pressure on Doug Kent. This is our second round match. If you're just joining us, Gary-Skidmore from Albequerque. He has the hometown crowd on his side. He beat Mike Scroggins in our opening round. And now he's trying to climb the ladder and knock off Doug Kent.
Needs to put some pressure on him, Mike. Excuse me. He really has to have it, and just barely sort of saws that 5-pin over. Very politely saws the 5-pin over. Still has a chance. Well, let's take a look at this shot. Watch the way the ball enters the pocket. Just a little bit light, and just ever so slightly touches the 5-pin.
You can hear the crowd chanting, Gary, Gary. He wants to strike out here in the 10th, trailing by 12.
Got a break there. Got to round that ball a little bit, Mike, but was able to hit light enough in the pocket to sort of shake him down. Had that ball hooked a little higher, it probably would have been another 10-pin. Watch at the release. He gets around the ball just a little bit more, delays the roll, comes in light, sort of scatters him. He knows how important that strike is.
It can be such a fickle game when you throw what you think is a perfect ball and you lead the solid 10, and then you throw the ball and you don't think it's very good and you knock them all down.
Well, that's part of the game of bowling, and we all understand that. Gary-Skidmore, regardless of whether he wins or loses this match, has afforded himself very, very handsomely here in this tournament in Albuquerque.
He finishes with a 237 by striking out in the 10th frame.
19? No.
And we see Doug Kent. He nods his head. He expects Gary-Skidmore to strike out.
I thought he was shooting 240.
Here's what Doug Kent needs right now. If he strikes, he's a winner. If he spares and gets 9, he's a winner. He wants to strike. There's your winner.
Does. So Doug Kent, in our second round match, eliminates the hometown hero, Gary-Skidmore. And Doug Kent will now move on to our third round match against Ricky Ward.
Best solid 8's probably the Swedish football week.
Doug Kent, who averaged 213 in our TV lanes this week, leaves the solid 10 as he closes out the 10th frame.
With this conversion, Doug Kent 248 to Gary-Skidmore's 237. An excellent match.
Oh, good.
Very well bowled on both sides of the each player. They really made good shots through the entire match.
And so there is your winner of our second round match, Doug Kent, the 10-year veteran in Canandaigua, New York. And he's about to meet a Floridian, Ricky Ward, when we come back.